Most of us live as if death were a mere accident, as if it were an event that may or may not happen, as if life were a continuous line and death merely an unfortunate, random full stop, a full stop that, who knows, we might be able to avoid if we had more luck, more health, more technology, more care, and so on. From an early age, we are conditioned to think this way. When someone dies, we immediately ask, what did they die from? Expecting answers like cancer, heart attack, accident, violence, among others. And with these answers, we feel satisfied, believing unreflectively that we fully understand the event of that death. We believe that death had a specific cause, perfectly determined in time and space, a disease, a bodily failure, an unforeseen event on the road, a tragedy, or even an outcome due to natural causes in old age. But this common-sense view, as determined as it may seem, is philosophically shallow and misleading. It confuses mechanism with cause, taking the mode of dying as if it were the real and necessary reason for dying. And it is precisely at this point that deeper reflection, like that offered by the antinatalist perspective, forces us to face uncomfortable truths we would normally prefer to avoid at all costs. Death is not a mere misfortune that regrettably occurs during life. It is the inevitable consequence of the simple fact that we were born. It is hard to acknowledge and say this, harder still to accept, even though it is one of the most obvious logical observations and an undeniable truism. This immense difficulty exists because such a realization challenges all our most fundamental convictions about our existence, forcing us to reflect on the reckless and unethical conduct of our own parents, regardless of whether such conduct was conscious or not, well-intentioned or not. Parents, I should add, for whom we are from the very beginning, whether by instinct or teaching, conditioned to feel a strong sense of unconditional love and whom we believe have always cared for our well-being. Therefore, it is extremely difficult to allow ourselves to question the true extent of this love and care when it is so viscerally embedded in our deepest convictions about ourselves, forming a crucial part of our most basic identity. Philosophically, however, the logic is clear. Death does not occur as a mere accident. It occurs out of necessity. Accidents, diseases, catastrophes, these are only the ways in which death manifests. They are triggers, circumstances, details, but they are not the fundamental cause. They do not explain why someone had to die, because the obvious, simple, true, profound, and inescapable answer is this: someone dies because they were born. The moment a life begins, its finitude also begins. There is no interval between existing and being mortal. There is no moment in life when we acquire death. It is there from the start, inseparable, woven into the fabric of life. Death does not arrive at the end. It comes along from the first breath. It is the inseparable shadow of existence. When we say someone died because of cancer, we reduce the matter to a contingent detail, a small part of its causality. It is like blaming the wind for knocking a stone off a cliff. The wind merely touched it, but gravity was always there, silent, patient, inevitable. So it is with death. Accident, disease, human error, these are just touches of the wind. The true force that expires us, however, has been present from the beginning. Recognizing this leads to a moral reflection that most people rarely engage in. When someone chooses to bring a new life into the world, they are not only bringing possible joys, experiences, and achievements, they are also bringing certain suffering and, most importantly, certain death. There is no birth that does not simultaneously create a future corpse. There is no life that does not carry at its core the certainty of its end. This is the hidden face of procreation, the one common sense prefers to hide from itself. We speak of children as blessings, miracles, gifts, but in doing so, we completely ignore its negative consequences, wishfully thinking they will not materialize. The inescapable fact, however, is that by bringing someone into existence, we decree, without consulting that person, that they will suffer and die. And make no mistake, this is not a simple pessimistic or even depressive worldview. It is logic. It is recognizing what is in front of us, right under our noses, even if we do not want to see it. Death is guaranteed from day one. The only uncertainty is how and when. But what will happen is already determined. This brings up the question we almost never ask. Do we have the right to impose this inevitable sentence on someone who does not exist, someone who never asked to exist? Do we have the right to initiate a process that ends, inevitably, in death? When we look calmly, we realize that birth is not only the beginning of life, it is the beginning of mortality. It is the act that inaugurates not only a path of possible positive experiences, but also the certain path of decay, suffering, and finally, the last breath. Acknowledging this does not require us to be nihilists, misanthropes, or gloomy. It only requires intellectual honesty. It requires abandoning the common, unreflective view that death is an unfortunate random event, when in fact, it is the necessary consequence of existence. The antinatalist reflection, therefore, is not only about suffering. It is about moral responsibility. It invites us to confront a simple yet overwhelming fact. Bringing someone into the world guarantees, without escape, that this person will die. Faced with this truth, the ethical question changes completely. The issue ceases to be, can life bring happiness? And becomes, is it justifiable to impose the certainty of death on someone who cannot even consent to exist? This is the question most of humanity avoids at all costs, but it is the only one that truly matters when we seriously think about ethics and the meaning of life, about our own birth, life, and death. Thank you very much for your attention.